Getting the title right is more important than the thumbnail, the description, or anything else when it comes to improving how many people actually click on your video to watch it. I'm going to give you 5 steps to make incredibly intriguing YouTube titles for your videos. And at the end of this video, I've got a special bonus tip that addresses a mistake that way too many Christian organizations make with their YouTube titles that you'll want to stick around for. My name is Trevor Sheets, and I'm the founder and owner of On the Mount, a Christian social media growth agency that has helped over a dozen biblically sound Christian organizations explode on social media for several years. So here's 5 steps to making the best titles possible. Step number 1, the title should always accurately represent the video. YouTube makes this clear as well. This is something that should be intuitive, especially if we want to be Christians that have integrity and honor. The title should always represent the content that's in the video. You should never get someone who sees a title, clicks on the video, and then doesn't get what the title actually says they'll get. Number 2, the titles that you make should withhold information in an intriguing way. Your title shouldn't just describe the video. If you figure out a way to withhold intriguing information, it will make the title so much more irresistible for people to click on. So it adds more of an intrigue. It adds more of a compelling element to the title that you wouldn't normally get. Number 3, your title should usually be distinctly Christian, so that when Christians see your video's title and the thumbnail as well, they'll be able to perceive, oh, this is for me. This is a Christian YouTube channel. This is a Christian video. It will resonate more with your target audience, which is usually all the time Christians if you're a church or a Christian organization. And so using words in your title like Bible, Christian, church, pastor, sin, heaven, hell, etc., it will resonate more with your target audience, causing you to have a higher click-through rate and to gain more subscribers to your channel because you're going to be able to reach your Christian target audience more effectively. Number 4, if it's applicable for the particular title you're considering, you should capitalize a keyword in that title. Adding that emphasis to a word, it can be overdone sometimes, but when it's used tastefully, it can actually be a powerful way to make the title even more compelling and intriguing. Because when you read that title with the all caps word, it adds that emphasis in your mind. That's why I decided to capitalize the word explode in the title of this video. It really puts the emphasis on the fact that if you get these YouTube titles down, it can take your Christian organization's YouTube channel to huge new heights more quickly than you would expect. So I really wanted to emphasize that truth by making it all caps. Don't overdo this because it can come across spammy if you do it with a lot of the words. And use it tastefully. Not all titles need this, but if it feels applicable, capitalizing a word can be helpful. And tip number 5, usually the more concise the title is, the better. For our channel's titles, it's difficult to make them shorter because we just want to reach biblically sound Christian organizations who are looking to grow on social media. So most of the time it makes it difficult to have a concise title for our specific purposes, but there are plenty of ways that you can make concise titles for the biblical videos that you plan on sharing on your YouTube channel. For example, look at this title. There's a few reasons why it's not good, but I want you to look at the 5 steps I just laid out. They're also going to be in the description of this video, and I want you to think through why this title isn't good. So pause the video because I'm about to say why it isn't good, and it's really helpful if you think this through yourself so that you can apply it with your own Christian organization's YouTube videos. The 2 main reasons why this title isn't very good is because number 1, it's not distinctly Christian. You wouldn't be able to tell just by reading the title that this is a Christian video. Again, it doesn't always have to be this case, but it's usually helpful to make it distinctly Christian. The second issue with this title is it's quite lengthy. You could certainly make this more concise. So now that you know these 5 steps, you could look at this title and revise it in a way that's going to cause it to perform better. Here is that same title revised. Notice how I've added in the word pastor, and notice how it still withholds information in an intriguing way, but now it's also a lot more concise and potent. This will cause it to reach a lot more Christians than you otherwise would and get it a lot more views, which will also bring in more Christians to your channel to subscribe and engage with more of your videos. Here's another example of a title that isn't so good. Again, I want you to consider, why is this particular title not so good? It mentions God specifically in the title, so it is Christian, but look at the other steps and consider it. Pause for a moment, and I'm going to tell you why it isn't very good and how we can make it better. So the main reason why this title isn't very good is because it doesn't withhold information in an intriguing way. It's simply a statement. God, help us to return to you. I'm sure it's exactly what the pastor's preaching about. It is a sermon title. Sermon titles are a lot different than YouTube titles, though. What sounds good for a sermon usually doesn't perform very well on YouTube, unfortunately. Also, I feel like capitalizing a word for this title, although we didn't do it for the last example, so you may have caught that, I feel like it'd be more applicable for this title. Here is our revised version, knowing that we want to withhold information in an intriguing way and capitalize a word for emphasis. Look at this. Does this not sound more compelling to you than the original title of God, help us to return to you versus feeling far from God? Do not skip this video. This will cause more people to click and watch, even though it's the exact same content. The packaging of your videos matters a lot if you haven't gotten it by this point. And here's the bonus tip that I told you was coming. Don't use series names in the titles, usually at all. If you really want to use series names in the title or episode names or whatever the case may be, put it at the very end of the title. YouTube even mentions this specifically as a bad practice, because here's the thing, nobody really cares, unfortunately, about your series unless it's something that is well known all around the world, but that's almost never going to be the case. So don't try to establish this series, because when people read the title, they're not going to be familiar with it. You want to use a title that people are familiar with. Just leave it in the description. It's okay. People are interested in videos that provide them value and resonate with them. They're not so interested in the branding of a series, even though that may be a lot more important when you're producing other educational biblical content, sermon series, etc. It does not work on YouTube. On average, when we apply these 5 steps to the many Christian organizations that On The Mount works with, we see the click-through rate increase anywhere from 2 to 5 times. And that's just from changing the title. This is a practical step you can implement right now in reaching and impacting more souls for the kingdom of God. That's why this matters so much. And while compelling titles are essential, your ministry can scale to entirely new heights if you also get the art of creating thumbnails correctly. I explain exactly how to make the best thumbnails possible for Christian organizations on YouTube in this video. I believe it's going to benefit your church or your Christian ministry in great ways by the grace of God. Make sure you don't miss this video.